Hello everyone, this is Sierra from Sierra T Designs, and today I have a St. Patrick's Day themed card for you. So let's jump right in. So first I started with some Hammermill 100-pound paper. That's what I like to stamp on to do my Copic coloring because it's just easier to get in Canada. It's very similar to the Nina Solar White Crest paper. And I have the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, which is a Copic safe ink. I do set my panel aside just to let the ink dry. I find that my Copics take better with this ink and are less likely to smudge it if I just give it a little bit of time to dry. So here I have some Lawn Fawn paper, the really rainbow 6x6 paper. And I just wanted to add a little bit of extra color to it. The green is stunningly beautiful, but I wanted it to be a bit darker around the outside, kind of creating a bit of a ombre effect. So I have two Oxide inks here. I have Lucky Clover and Mowed Lawn. And I'm starting with the Mowed Lawn. And I just used my blending tool to blend it in from the outside. And then I'll take the darker color, the Lucky Clover, which I think is very fitting for this. And I'll blend that in as well from the outside. And then I'll come back with my first color and blend in. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I am using Simon Says Stamp's Woolly Lucky stamp set. If you were one of the lucky people who got to order it recently from Simon, it actually was free. I've had mine for quite a while. I got it when it came in a kit. I believe March of last year. That would be March 2019, sorry. And I haven't actually used it. So I thought this was a perfect time to use this stamp set as I thought it was just so adorable. The sentiments in it are just amazing. And here I just wanted to add a little more texture to my background. So I used my distress sprayer. I sprayed a little bit of water on my hand, and then I'm just flicking it on to create some contrast to the paper. And then I set that aside to dry. So here we're going to start the Copic coloring. I've got this sped up quite a bit. This is about 4 times as fast as I color. I'm pretty slow when I Copic color, so it's sped up a lot. So for the greens, we're going to use YG03, YG23, and YG25. So I started out with my lightest color, the YG03, and I put a base of that color down. Now these images are pretty small. It's almost going to be a bit difficult to see what I'm doing here, but I started with the base color, and then I just brought flicks of the YG23 and then the YG25 in, and then I'll go back through. I go lightest to darkest and then darkest to lightest. That's how I always do my Copic coloring. It's the easiest way for me personally, as I struggle a little bit to do a good blend, but it's working so far, and it's a lot of fun to just play around with the colors. So here my camera actually cut out a little bit. You're gonna see that I colored in the the bow tie, the little sash on the hat, and the belt holding the blanket on the llama. It can't cut out, but all I did was the exact same I did with the clovers on the llama. Is I just used my lightest color as a base, and then came in with my darker shades, as you can see. So now we're going to jump into the hat. And I wanted to use grays. Oh, the blanket as well, sorry. The blanket and the hat are the same colors. So I have C3, C5, and C7. I prefer the cool gray family as my grays. Just, I like how they look. I also own the neutrals, but I just tend to lean towards the cools. So I start with my lightest color. Again, I lay down a full base of it, and then I go in and add shading with my darker colors wherever I feel it's needed. So anywhere that you have 2 items meet, or anywhere I think that it would add a little extra, or anywhere that the illustrator of the art has done a shade. So like the top of the hat there, where there's a line, I added some shading there. So I think that you can just follow where the illustrator has added. Like that's the beauty of these stamps, that they've told you pretty much where to add your color. So it's beautifully and so fun to color in. So I just go back through, I lay all my darkest shadows, then I bring in my secondary darker color, or my mid-tone color, which is in this case the C5. And then I bring in my lightest color and just blend it all out. And I usually go back over it just to make the lightest color a little bit darker. I'm not really focusing on where I want to highlight to be on this. I'm just coloring it in however I like. I'm not great with the light source. That's something that I'll have to work on. But yeah, I just kind of guess where I would like the shading, and that's where I add it. So anytime one item is on top of another item, or that's pretty much actually where I focus, mostly on if something's sitting on top of something else. That's where I'll add shading, or wherever the illustrator has drawn lines in to signify some shading. So for the hooves of my little llama, I used C9, and then now we're into the fur. I was kind of going for a bit of a cream colored llama. Not cream, sorry, she's more of a tan color, I guess. So I have E53, E33, and E35. So E53 is my base, and then I'm going in with my E33, and then my darkest shade will be the E55. So there you can see I put some shading under the hat, under where the bow is on the neck, under the blanket, where the leg is in front of the other, a little bit on the tail. Anywhere that something's sitting on top of another item is where I aim for my shading to be. That's just kind of my rule of thumb, but you should color however you enjoy coloring. That's the whole love of coloring. You should just do whatever makes you happy. And I also take my mid-tone in the llama's fur and use it on wherever the lines were drawn in the image, just to add a little bit extra. So there's my darkest shade. I'm going to go back in with my mid-tone, blend that out, and then go back in with my lightest color and blend that out to the whole body. I'll do it on the whole body. So yeah, so this is actually for the challenge of Simon Says Stamps blog this week. They have the Wednesday challenge, and I joined in on it, and it's just to use something green. And I thought that was perfectly fitting, considering it's St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, as this video is going up. And do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Maybe not this year, as not everybody's got much to celebrate at the moment, but do you generally, are you someone who goes out and celebrates this? Is it a holiday? I guess it's considered a holiday. Here in Canada, it isn't really considered a holiday. It's more just a day to drink green beer, I guess. I'm not really sure of anything that really goes on that you could go in and join in for St. Patrick's Day. But where you live, is there something to do specifically on St. Patrick's Day? You'd have to let me know. I'm not sure out there what all people can get up to. So here I took my C9 marker, and I'm actually just coloring in the buckle and the side of the blanket, the little fringe around the blanket. So I'm going to use my liquid glue to glue down my panel, and I kind of wish that I had used tape runner, because liquid glue does show through my coloring a little bit. And I did pre-cut my papers. I am going to use an A2 cards base, which is 4.25 by 5.5, and then I have the black mat there. I cut it down to 4 by 5.25, and then my green cut down piece is actually 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inches. Here I have the card base. I just wanted to stamp a little bit of something in the inside, so I stamped down the llama using that lucky Clover ink. And now I'm going to move on to the sentiment. So I did used my powder tool on that piece of black cardstock. It's really dry here, so I have to be pretty vigilant with my otherwise my embossing powder sticks to everything. And there I just added some Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I'm going to use my heat tool to melt it until it's smooth and melted. There's no grainy pieces. And then I'm going to bring in my Tim Holtz trimmer and just trim down the sentiment into a little strip. I also took a microfiber cloth, oh boy, and I wiped off the leftover powder on the piece of black cardstock, just because it didn't look very nice, and it's so easy to wipe off after you've heat set everything. So I'm going to trim this down into a little label, and then I'm going to use some foam tape to pop. Oh, so I actually used Gina K's foam squares in black, just to not have the white showing through. You can see them there on the side. And I put these on everything in this card. I put them on the label, the sentiment. I put them on the back of the green background piece there. I put them on the back of that. I put them on the back of the llama. I popped everything up just to add a little bit of dimension. And here I'm going to set my llama down on top of the label, and it kind of just grounds the llama a little bit. It doesn't look like he's floating in midair. So there's that. And then as you can see here, I put them on everything. And I just wanted to show you how easily the white backing comes off of these squares. And I love that they're black. It just matches anytime I use black cardstock. You could absolutely use fun foam as well. I actually don't own any in black. I only have some in white, and I didn't want the white to pop through behind the black panel. I kind of like the contrast of the black and white on the base, so I kind of thought this would be interesting. And they were sitting on my desk, so I thought I should really use them. I don't use them very often. And as you can see, I like to mat things. So there I matted the panel down on my card base. And then now I'm just going to add a couple of sequins. So I have the Pink Fresh Studios Jewel Mix Essentials. That's the green gems that I have there, and it's the container you can see on the left hand side. And I also used Buttons Galore and More Lucky Charms sequin mix, which is where those clovers came from that I'm sticking down, and I'm using my crystal katana just to get them to lay down nicely. So yeah, that's the card for today. It was kind of a quick card, came together pretty easily. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. I post new videos every Monday, and I'd love to have you back. I also have a coordinating blog post that will be linked down below, as well as all the supplies used in this video. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.